Hello friends, in this video tutorial, we will show you how to update or edit MySQL Table Data under Node.js Express Application. In previous part, we have already shown you how to insert form data into MySQL database in Node.js application. So now we have moved to update MySQL Table Data using Node.js. So first we need to create edit button in each row of data. So we have go to text editor and go into views directory. And here we have to open sample data.js template file. And here we can see that display MySQL table data in HTML table format code. Now here we need to create edit button. So here we have to create anchor tag. And here in href attribute we have to write /sample data /edit and for print dynamic it table column data. Here we have to write open and close node quote syntax. And for print value, here we have to write equal to sign. And after this, we have to write data.it table column. So it will print dynamic it table column data in each row of data. After this, in class attribute, we have to write button primary and button small class. And in anchor text, we have to write edit, so it will create edit button. Now we need to check edit button is created or not. So here, in command prompt, first we have go to our node application directory. And after this, we have to run following command, which will start Node.js server. Now in the browser, we have to write localhost with 3000 port number, /sample data. So it has display MySQL table data on web page in HTML table format. And here, in each of data, we can see that edit button has been created. So when we have click on this button, then one form must be load. With fill data, so we can edit or change, so for load form with data. We have go to roots folder, and here, we have to open sample data.js file. And under this file, we have to create one root for load edit form in the browser. So for this, here we have to write router variable.get function. With two parameter, so here in the first parameter, we have to write /edit /:it, so here it value will be dynamic. And in the second parameter, we have to write callback function. With three parameter, like request, response and next variable. Under this function, first we want to get value of it parameter value. So for this, here we have to write it variable is equal to request.params.it, so here, we have store it parameter value in the local variable. Next, we need to write query for fetch single row of data. So for this, here we have to write query variable is equal to select star from sample data table, where it is equal to $. With open and close bracket, and between this, we have to write it variable. So this query will fetch single row of data. Now we need to execute this query. So for this, here we have to write database.query function, so this function will execute above MySQL query. So in this function, first parameter, we have to write query variable. And in second parameter, we have to write callback function with error and data variable. Under this function, we have to write response.render function. With two parameter, so in the first parameter, we have to write view file name sample data. And in the second parameter, we need to define data, which we want sent to views file. So here, we have to write title key, with value like edit MySQL table data. After this, we have to write action key, with value like edit. And for send MySQL data, here we have to write sample data, with data 0 index. Now we have go to sample data template file, and under this file, first we have to define condition for load edit form data. So here, we have to write open and close node quote syntax. And between this, we have to write else if statement, and under condition, we have to write action variable value is equal to edit. So if this condition true, then it will execute if block of code, and under this block we want to load edit form with data. Under this block, first we have to paste this bootstrap 5 card code. After this, we have go to add block of code, and here we have copy this form code. And after this, here in the edit block of code, we have paste it. So in the form, first we have go to this form action attribute value. And here, we have to write /sample data/edit, and after this, we have to write open and close node code syntax, and after this, for print data, here we have to write is equal to sign, and after this, we have to write sample data.id. After this, for fill first name field with data, so here we have to write open and close node code syntax with is equal to sign. And after this, we have to write sample data.first name table column. After this, for fill last name text box with data, so here, we have to write open and close node code syntax with is equal to sign. And after this, we have to write sample data.last name table column. Same way, we want to fill this h text box with data, so here we have to write open and close node code syntax with is equal to sign. And after this, we have to write sample data.h table column. Next we want to set value of gender select box, so we have go to JavaScript code. And here, we have to write document.getElement by id method. And under this, we have to write id of gender select box. After this, we have to write value is equal to open and close node code syntax. And after this, we have to write is equal to sign with sample data.gender table column name. So here our edit form is ready with fill single row of data. Now we have go to browser, and here we have to click on the edit button. So after click on the edit button, here we can see that edit form has been loaded in the browser with fill form data. Now we have to proceed for submit form data, so we have go to sample data roots file. And here, we have to write router variable.post function with 2 parameter, so here in the first parameter, we have to write /edit/:id, and in the second parameter, we have to write callback function with 3 parameter, like request, response and next variable. Under this function, first need to store form data in the local variable. So for this, first we need to store id parameter value in the local variable. So for this, here we have to write id variable is equal to request.params.id. After this, here we have to write first name variable is equal to request.body.firstname. So here we have store form first name field data into local variable. After this, for store last name field data, here we have to write last name variable is equal to request.body.lastname. Next, for store age form data into local variable, so for this, here we have to write age variable is equal to request.body.age. And lastly, for store gender form field data into local variable. So for this, here we have to write gender variable is equal to request.body.gender. So this way, we have stored form data into local variable. Now we have to write update data MySQL query. So for this, here we have to write query variable is equal to update sample data table. Set first name is equal to $sign with open and close bracket with first name variable. Last name is equal to $sign open and close bracket with last name variable. Age is equal to $sign open and close bracket with age variable. Gender is equal to $sign with open and close bracket with gender variable. And in where condition, we have to write it is equal to $sign with open and close bracket with it. So this update query will update MySQL table data. Now we need to execute above query. So for this, here we have to write database.query function with two parameter. So this function will execute above query. In first parameter, we have to write query variable. And in second argument, we have to write callback function with error and data variable. Under this function, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write error variable, so this condition will check. If there is any MySQL error occur, then it will execute if block of code. And under this block, we have to write throw error variable, which will display error on the web page. But suppose there is no any error occur, and data successfully updated, then it will execute else block of code, and under this block, we have to write response variable dot redirect function, and under this function, we have to write /sample data, so it will redirect web page to another page, on which it will display MySQL table data on web page in HTML table format. So here, our code is ready. Now we have to check output in the browser. Friends, first we have to refresh web page, and after refresh of web page, here we can see that edit form with fill data has been displayed on the web page. Now we have change age details, and after change age details, we have to click on the edit button. And after click on the edit button, here we can see that web page has been redirected. And here, we can see list of MySQL table data, and here we can see that MySQL table data has been updated. So this way, we can edit MySQL table data in Node.js Express Application. And in this part, we have first fetch single row of data, and load that data into HTML form, and after this, we have to write MySQL update data script, using Node.js. So in this part, we have learned how to update MySQL table data in Node.js. In next part, we will learn how to delete data from MySQL table, using Node.js. So, we will be meet in the next part. Lastly, thank you for watching this tutorial, and do not forget to subscribe our channel.